morning, everybody. Welcome to your Monday, and welcome back to our BFFs that have Dish. Yes, we're back. We're back on the air with us.
Dish,
we missed you.
So I'm glad we're not going to get many emails anymore.
Yes,
yes. Where are you guys?
We heard you, loud and clear.
Things all worked out. Yeah, and good morning. It's a Monday, a special Monday, because we have a birthday in the house. A birthday boy, we should say. Birthday man, excuse
Happy
me.
birthday. We'll spare everyone us singing it and just wish you a very happy birthday.
Yeah. I would love to hear you guys sing, but I appreciate it. I'll make you do it in commercial.
Oh, producer says we don't have time.
Oh, weird. Yeah, just timed out. Something happened with the timing. Weird. I know a lot of people are keeping their sights set on the forecast after what was a beautiful weekend. Hey, it's going to stick around throughout this week. Ridge of high pressure stays overhead as the dominant weather feature. Mid-70s today along the coastline and inland. 76 for your deserts, low 50s for your mountaintops, and only building from here. We've got, although the mid-70s today, mid-80s expected by Wednesday, and that's really across some of your inland valleys that could climb to the upper 80s by the end of the week. So Wednesday's going to be the day where those temperatures kind of max out, and then Wednesday through the weekend will kind of just ebb and flow a bit with those afternoon high temperatures. Also breezy today. Santa Ana winds are picking up. We'll see them again return Wednesday into Thursday. Let's talk about what's going on in traffic this morning. Just one major crash to take you to. This is in the South Bay. We're at Imperial Beach on the 5 northbound. Moving on to the 75 toward Coronado. We see a crash there. Looks like that has been moved over to the shoulder, and we've seen traffic start to improve there in the San Ysidro area, moving up north. However, still going to be likely something that could cause some delays into the next hour or so. I'll send things back to you, Netta and Eric.
Evan, thank you so much. And new this morning, crews are cleaning up this mess. This is terrible. A deadly crash right along the 805 in National City. This happened just after 3 this morning on the southbound lanes of the 805. A driver went off the freeway, hit a number of trees, then rolled down that embankment, and the car landed on Division Street. The driver died at the scene. CHP is looking into what caused that crash.
This morning, more details are coming to light about a Navy SEAL candidate who died shortly after finishing Hell Week training.
Another trainee is in the hospital right now. CBS 8's Dana Marie McNichol joining us live outside NAS North Island in Coronado. You know, this was a man who was so young and had his whole life ahead of him. Really tough to hear about what happened. Good morning, Dana Marie.
Good morning to you both. A really sad morning for the naval community and the family, mourning the death of just 24-year-old Kyle Muller, who is from New Jersey. Now, this Navy SEAL candidate completed his Hell Week training, but then died shortly after. Now, the cause of his the death is still under investigation, but we are hearing from a longtime Navy veteran who explains to us what this training is like.
If you're sick or injured, that is commonly what happens is you get sent back to the very beginning of training again. You want to stay in training. You don't want to get rolled back.
Now, candidates hoping to become the elite of the elite go through an entire week in rough conditions, getting about an average of 4 hours of sleep for the whole week. Now, on the official Navy SEAL website, Hell Week is described as the toughest training in the U.S. military, and about only a quarter of those who start finish. The cause of Mullen's death is not known at this time, and an investigation is underway. Officials say Kyle Mullen completed this grueling Hell Week training successfully, but then started experiencing some kind of medical emergency afterwards. Yesterday, the Navy released a statement saying Mullen and another candidate had fallen ill after training on Friday and were rushed to the hospital. Mullen later died here at Sharp Coronado Hospital. Now, we have reached out to the Navy for a status update on the symptoms both candidates experience and the status of the second candidate, but we haven't heard back yet from the Navy. So, of course, we'll continue to update you if we hear any news back furthering this investigation. You could read more on CBS8.com. Live in Coronado, I'm Dana Marie McNichol. I'll send it back to you.
Dana Marie, thank you. One of the teenagers accused of killing a 14-year-old boy in Mount Hope is expected in juvenile court here today. Last week, 5 teenagers were accused of killing Eric Ballanzar while he was walking home from school. 3 of the suspects have pleaded not guilty to killing the boy. The names of the other 2 suspects have not been released because they're minors. A vigil was held over the weekend to remember Eric's life. An Oceanside woman has now been missing for more than a week. 28-year-old Sarah Celeste Otero was last seen on January 28th leaving her mother's house near Alderney Court. She was driving a charcoal gray Subaru Outback with license plate 7GA B955. You see it there on your screen. We're told Otero often travels and camps out in her car at beaches or state parks. She's also active in the fire spinning community in Oceanside and Ocean Beach. You're asked to call police if you have any information.
SDG&E ramped up their prices, as many of you know, and now customers are amped up. A local engineer is questioning the utility's $3 billion project in East County. They're replacing wood poles with steel ones and burying lines underground to prevent fires, they say. And Bill Powers says providing homeowners with solar would have been cheaper.
If you have those 30,000 customers put these systems on, we're just as protected. In fact, we're more protected because then the utility can shut that system off whenever the slightest breeze occurs, and the customers will never know it.
Last week, SDG&E told us they have not been responsible for igniting any fires since hardening their lines after the 2007 wildfires, which were started by power lines. We continue to look into the utility's high rates, and in just a few minutes, hear from a local man taking SDG&E to court. And today is a big day for a popular spot for locals and tourists alike.
Studio Diner is back open for the first time since the pandemic started. CBS 8's Chris Groh live now with a closer look at this amazing comeback story here, Chris. And they just opened their doors. Any customers ready for a good breakfast yet?
They just opened their doors, and it did appear that they had about 4 friends who just walked in, one of them saying, "I'm so excited for this." And you got to imagine that a lot of the people who work here super excited for this. The people who work in this area super excited for this, as well as some of those who lived here. And again, this is a spot that I used to get to all the time with my wife, whether it was for breakfast, lunch, or dinner. But for the past 2 years, no one has been able to get in because they've been closed during this pandemic. And a lot of people feared the worst, because usually some of these businesses have been forced to close for good. But this time, Studio Diner has a much different story. Their reboot, their sequel, however it is that you want to describe it, is something that looks to be successful. Now, what they've been doing in the past 2 years is trying to improve on their menu, trying to make sure that they could get things sort of jump-started. Take that time, make it worth it. We spoke with the head chef last week, and he said he has a lot of really new, really unique things that he thinks that people are going to be excited for, especially as they come back here to starting today. So they are going to be open with limited hours, 6 a.m. to 3 p.m. Remember, this is a diner that used to be open up late, right? This was the place where if you had the late shift, or maybe you were starting early, this was somewhere you could go to make sure you got that comfort food. They are going to have, again, those very limited hours right now, but I got to imagine things will pick up steam, especially as that excitement continues to grow. Eric and Netta.
Chris
All right, Chris,
Groh,
yeah.
Are you going to be ordering that chicken noodle soup first thing, or
I'm
what?
telling you, that sounds good. I know that was one of your favorites.
Yeah, the chicken noodle soup at 6:30 a.m. does sound like it's going to hit the spot. But you know what? I encourage people to go look at the menu online. All of the names of the entrees have kind of throwbacks, obviously, to the movie scene. So a lot of old classic movies, for instance, the Monte Cristos, the Count of Monte Cristo.
Yeah.
So, you know, things like that. And also a lot of odes over to the East Coast as well, too, which, of course, I am from the East Coast. So it's always really cool to see kind of that connection.
Yeah.
We picked the right reporter for this story, didn't we, Chris Groh?
And what's interesting is the owners have a production company too, which is why they're super into the movies and all of that. So it's fun.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right, well, enjoy. I know you'll be stopping in there at some point here.
Yeah. Thank you, Chris.
Let's check in with Evan. Boy, nice start to the morning out there.
Absolutely, and we got the sun coming up just a little bit, little indications of some light starting to come through as we look outside. Still dark, of course. That technical sunrise is another half hour out, but this is that twilight phase ahead of it. And clear skies is what we see from pretty much all the cameras across the board. Ridge of high pressure stays in place, prevents those clouds from developing, and keeps those temperatures chilly overnight in some spots, although those Santa Ana winds are doing their part to bring warm, dry air our way. So areas like Ramona are already in the 60s, whereas downtown San Diego is at 44 degrees right now. We're going to warm up to 74 by this afternoon, nearly 10 degrees above average. Rain so far this month, nothing, even though only 7 days into the month we normally would have seen nearly 4/10 of an inch. That sunset is getting closer and closer to 5:30. That'll likely be here by the end of the week, so you can at least rejoice that those days are getting longer, and temperatures are going to be on the incline really all the way through about the 2 o'clock hour. That's where we've got those mid-70s. 70s in play. Ridge of high pressure stays in place. This is the dominant weather feature overhead that is keeping our skies clear, causing those temperatures to continue to climb through the rest of the week and preventing us from seeing any of that rain associated with the low pressure systems that are affecting the majority of the country. And when I say country, I mean, yeah, country. The majority of people in the U.S. right now have seen some sort of decrease in temperatures, a lot of wet, wintry weather making its way through the Midwest, for example, whereas we are blocked out by it. That ridge of high pressure really affecting the greater west coast of the U.S. and keeping our temperatures warm and preventing that wet weather. 77 this afternoon for Oceanside, Vista, Carlsbad, Fallbrook. 75 for Escondido through Miramar. The thing to keep in mind here is that we are only on a climb. So between today and Wednesday, we keep climbing into the 80s. Wednesday through the weekend and early next week, we still have upper 70 and low 80 degree temperatures in play. No dramatic decrease in temperatures, but they kind of ebb and flow here and there. Santa Ana winds very active today. We have that wind advisory in effect. They will die down tonight and pick right back up Wednesday into Thursday. Mountains and deserts continue to see that climb of temperatures. Deserts are going to be making their way into the mid 80s as early as about Thursday or so. Let's talk about traffic. Just this one crash that we saw earlier today that is continuing to be worked on over toward the shoulder. So this is on the 5 northbound at exit 5A. This is moving on to the 75, so moving toward Coronado at the Palm Avenue exit. Looks like we've seen some slightly slower speeds in that area down at the bottom of your screen. We'll keep monitoring it, but besides that, most other crashes and collisions, including that crash on the 805, has been cleared. Back